legs towards centre, or imagine that you've got two trains coming towards Central Station. And then your ribs will be drawing down towards your hips. So that all happens on one out breath. It's quite a lot of action. So we're going to practice it 3 times. Breathe in to the side and the back of the ribs. And as you start the exhale, activate pelvic floor. Suck the green pea up the straw, draw your 2 hip bones towards centre and sink your navel towards your spine, watching your ribs funnel. Inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale, engage pelvic floor. Pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre, your navel to spine and your ribs towards your hips. Breathing in, expand the ribs. Breathe out, activate pelvic floor. Suck up the green pea in the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre and your navel to spine. And no bony landmarks have moved. Inhale. And exhale. Activate pelvic floor. Draw the pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre, navel to spine and ribs to hips. Breathe in, and the next time we exhale, we're going to float the left leg to tabletop. Exhale, pelvic floor, pea up the straw, navel to spine, hip bones to centre. Breathe in and pause. We're going to take the second leg up. As soon as you exhale, activate pelvic floor. Pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre, navel to spine. Inhale, exhale, activate pelvic floor. Pea up the straw as you float your right leg down, draw your 2 hip bones towards centre. Breathe in, exhale, activate pelvic floor, draw the pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre as you lower that left leg down. One more set of those, breathing in. Exhale, activate pelvic floor, pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre and navel to spine, leg is in tabletop. Breathe in and pause. Exhale, pelvic floor, pea up the straw, navel to spine, 2 hip bones towards centre, ribs towards hip as the second leg has arrived. Inhale. Exhale, take that left leg down as your pelvic floor activates. Pea up the straw, hip bones towards centre, navel to spine. Pause on the inhale. Exhale, activate pelvic floor. Pea up the straw, 2 hip bones towards centre, navel to spine. Observe your ribs funneling towards your pelvis. And just take a little moment to let your abdominals hang out, because it probably works more strongly than you think they could have. Now, did everybody get a sense of their pelvic floor and their abdominals activating?
Yes.
Yes? So you don't need to be doing lots of activity to feel those muscles work. And if you can't get that in your own bodies, you cannot teach it to anybody else. So we're going to do another transition. We're going to keep going for the full, got another 15 minutes to go. We're going to, from here, we're going to go off our back because we've had enough time on our back. I'm going to use the transition of a gluteal stretch. So float up your left leg and externally rotate it and push your knee away. Now we haven't done really strong glute work yet. The only exercise that we did use glute medius in was our knee side. So it wasn't really strong, but it was contracting. So it's always a good idea to stretch out the external rotators and the glutes, and it's a good opportunity for me to explain to you that any stretch has one fundamental underlying theme, and that is that you're trying to take the insertion of a muscle further away from the origin. So if I am trying to stretch the muscles that go across here from my rototrochanter across to my sacrum, I want the stretch to be as long as I can. So I want to keep my tailbone as far away from my hip bone as I can. So if you do this stretch and you let your back flatten, so you're taking your tailbone towards your front, you're not going to get the stretch. So that's why you want to always have the cue. Keep your tailbone and your sacrum pressing down towards the mat. Then you can push your knee further away and you'll get a greater stretch. Of course, we can do more intensity of this stretch by lifting up the right leg to tabletop and pushing the knee away, and it intensifies it. Make sure you're still engaging your abdominals and pelvic floor, pressing your tail towards the mat. And you're going to straighten your left leg to the ceiling and your right leg to the ceiling. A little bit of a hamstring stretch. Flex the feet. Anchor your tailbone. Keep yourself in neutral. And bring your legs slightly closer to you. A hamstring stretch, same fundamentals, where they attach at the just below the lateral knee. And your sits bones where they start, you want to have the most distance you can between them. So anchor your tailbone. Reach your heels away, and then you'll get the stretch. Usually we hold stretches for between 15 and 30 seconds. Point your toes, bend both knees to tabletop, then cross your right ankle over your left knee and push your right knee away from you. Again, anchoring your tailbone down so you're still in your neutral pelvis. Press it down, push the knee away, relax your shoulders, relax your neck and throat. Lower that left leg to the floor, transition to the less intensive stretch. We've still got our right knee over our left shoulder, not that left shoulder, our left knee. If you can get your right knee over your left shoulder, feel free. And what we're going to do is raise the left arm overhead, and we're going to roll onto our left side. Our right foot will make contact, but our left leg is bent perfectly in the position we want it to be in for clams. Then lift off your left leg and place it on top of your right. And so we're all, if you're not facing the camera, move it other way. And if you guys want to turn your mats around, you can, or sideways. But everybody be on their left side. I always, when I'm teaching side lie work, you want to rest your head on your bicep. You can be bent, your elbow can be bent. Some people prefer to have a long lever and have their arm long. I tend to prefer it being a little bit bent because then my bicep is contracted and it makes my cushion a little higher. That's if you've got really big biceps, but something like that. And so when you are in side lie, you have to be in neutral spine as well. So you have to check. These are the key indicators of good neutral spine and neutral pelvis in side lie. So you want to keep your waistline lifted from the floor. I always refer to this as a little mouse hole, just a little gap. You also want your top hip, which in this case is your right hip, reaching away from your ribs. You want to think of your sits bones, both left and right, reaching towards your heels. Sometimes it's enough just to think of your top right hip, right sits bone reaching towards your right knee. But can everybody feel how that's lengthened out your spine? Whereas if you just let that go and sink, see how we're actually not in neutral? Like one of those old advertisements for a good mattress that should support you to lie in neutral even on your side. So we've got our feet stacked on top of each other. Now, clams are a very challenging exercise to teach. So you must be diligent and you must persevere till you get it correct. Because unless your clients can feel, after 3 repetitions of clams, unless they can feel the burn in their deep lateral rotators after 3, they're not doing it correctly. So let's see, how do we learn to do it correctly? The first thing is to keep in this beautiful neutral pelvis. And then the other is, again, you can put your fingers above below your hips to check that your iliopsoas aren't contracting overly here. Inhale and exhale, you have the action of externally rotating the hip. But the image that goes with that is that I am rolling a ball from the top of my right hip down towards my buttocks as I lengthen my top knee and reach my thigh away. And my top hip stays stacked on top of my bottom hip. And then inhale, roll it down. It can also help to press your top foot into your bottom foot a little bit. So inhale, exhale, press the right foot in, and it's rotating around in the hip joint, lengthening the thigh nice and long. So it's not about how high you lift it, it's about how deep you rotate the femoral head in the acetabulum. And then inhale, coming down with control, otherwise you'll get this top hip moving out of its correct position. And exhale, lengthen, rotate, press that top foot into the floor. And inhale, lower. Now, one of my techniques of teaching this is to go and stand behind the client and put my shin at their sacrum and ask them not to press in against my shin. Because what will happen is people tend to roll back, which means they're not rotating in the hip joint, they're actually lifting in the hip flexor and going back, and they tuck under. So it's got to be the nice, smooth rotational action of the femur. Other than pressing the foot into the floor, another fantastic cue, all of you have got walls near you, so go over to a wall, so you can go perpendicular to the walls, or see that pole in front of you over there, Wendy? Just put 2 feet on the pole, that wooden thing there, and what we're going to do is I'll go over to this wall here, is that you lie perpendicular to the wall, 2 feet are pressed, 2 balls of your feet are pressed into the wall, and you press the top foot into the wall and open up and down and open and down. So in that clam position, the bottom leg's pretty well just resting, but it's the top leg that presses into the wall and open. And you'll feel it more deeply without the front of the hip working.
So you don't really get as big a movement, is that right?
You're not bent enough. You need. So the way to tell that you're in the correct position is that you're at 45 degrees of flexion. But how do I know what 45 degrees of flexion is in my own body? The way is that if I'm on the edge of the mat or anywhere, my heels are in line. I'll show you from the back. My heels are in line with my buttocks, which is in line with my spine. So if I'm lying against a wall, my head, my ribs, my buttocks and my feet are all on the one line. So pressing that top foot into the wall, and what it does is it takes the over-reliance on the hip flexors out of it. So you need to be pressing the foot in quite strongly. That's it, Amber, keeping an eye on that mousy hole, make sure that it's still there. Lengthening that top hip away. Are you getting it, Cassie?
Yeah.
Yeah, made a difference the position you're in.
Yeah, a big difference. I'm not able to get as open, but I can feel it more intensely.
Good.
Deeper, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's about the depth of the contraction of the deep rotators. It's not about the height of the leg. Have you got it, Wendy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is everybody else feeling those deep rotators? You've got a question, Ryan?
Yeah, is the TFL, is that the burn, like, are you meant to feel the burn in your tensor fasciae latae, or?
Ideally not.
Okay.
Because if you over-recruit TFL in a lot of your activities, it will fire first in any side-lie work. So you want to try not to do that. Now here's a cue that you can do to assist with that, and it's an imagery-based cue that in my mind's eye, I'm actually imagining that my body is doing pure abduction. So you see how I'm just lifting the leg up? That's abduction. There's no external rotation in that. So in my brain, I am picturing this movement, but my body is actually doing that. So what it does is it makes me think of the femoral head coming laterally, then rotating. So that will ensure that the femoral head has more space within which to rotate. Because if you're tight in your iliopsoas, which inserts to the lesser trochanter, or you're tight in your TFL, which comes from the ASIS and goes out to the greater trochanter or lower, if that's tight, it's going to do the work and it just won't let go. So if you can try that image, that's a great way to retrain it. Because TFL and psoas group, I always refer to them, they're a bit like really strong guitar strings. They just won't let go. And so you want to try and retrain them. Yeah, they need to be functionally strong, but they don't need to be dysfunctionally strong. And dysfunctional strength of a muscle is when it works when it's not required. You know, an overachiever. So from there, you need to just be mindful of all the intellectual input and images and the verbal instructions, but practice, practice, practice. Remember how Nat said she used to take one exercise and each day just nut it out and practice it? Because each one of you will have different repertoire or different exercises within the repertoire that are your nemesis. The ones that you've got to nut out, and others will become much easier. So did that help at all, Ryan? It did, great. So you've got two things there, it's the go perpendicular to the wall or to have the image of the abduction before the rotation. Third one is the tactile cue, which is having the instructor stand up against you and push their shin into your sacrum. The fourth one really is you could lie along the wall. So where you are, Kelly, you could move back against the wall and use that as your tactile feedback. We're going to do one more exercise on this side, a single sideline leg lift. So we keep the bottom leg in exactly the same position that we were in plans and straighten out the top leg. And when you straighten it, you want to really lead out with the whole sole of your foot so that you ensure that you've got that nice waistline image covered. Hand can be on your hip if you want to work for a bit more balance, or you can place it on the floor in front. So we inhale to prepare, exhale, activate pelvic floor, pee up the straw, abdominals towards spine, and lift up the leg, leading with the heel, so you're in dorsiflexion. Then as we come down, we point the foot and we're in plantar flexion and we lower, not to the floor, but just above the floor. Exhale, reach and lift. Inhale, point and lower. Exhale, reach and lift. Inhale, point and lower. Now, there will be some rules here. There's always rules of execution in this very precise methodology of Pilates, and that is when I abduct my leg and when I adduct it, my pelvis doesn't move out of neutral. So again, we're hip dissociating, leg moves independently of the pelvis. If you're a bit of a TFL user, best to take the leg back, turn it in slightly, and do the work there. You'll also work probably a bit more intensely in work knee there. Exhale up and inhale, point down. Exhale and reach. So the more you reach the leg, the more fully you will work your glute medius, and the more that you draw your abdominals in and support yourself with your pelvic floor, the less likely you'll rely on TFL as a stabilizer. And lower. Exhale and reach. Inhale and lower. Exhale and reach. Draw the abdominals in, think pee up the straw, trains towards central station, and lower, and lift. Hold it for 2 breath cycles. See if you can lengthen your leg further, take it back, lengthen the leg further. Take it back, lengthen the leg further, draw your abdominals towards your spine. Yes, you can feel it, can't you? And point the toe, bend the leg in and place it on the floor in front, and we give it a little massage, a little pat. Just a gentle stretch, not a really deep one, but just to take the tension out of that muscle group. And we're going to transition to the other side by bringing ourselves up through sitting. So take the leg back to placing it on top of the other, like it was for clams. Breathe in and push yourself up with that left hand, or the arm that's on the floor, and turn away from your feet so you stretch up through the torso here. So we're actually getting a bit of a stretch into our ribs and our obliques. And walk your hands back, cross your legs over into a cross sit through center, and rotate towards your left. So we're stretching through our ribs. Any left will do. And then reach to the other side. Reach your knees away, rotate, so getting a nice spinal twist here. And center. Bring your legs to the front and bring them down and lie down on the other side, so that we're now working the left side, or the other side. I lost track of who had my side up. And so this is our second last exercise, so make it the best you can. Bending through your elbow on your bicep, make sure that you're in neutral, so you've got your top hips stacked on top of the bottom. You've got your little mouse hole there protecting your spine. And we're going into clams. Placing your hand on the floor or on your hip. Inhale, exhale, push the top foot into the bottom foot, lengthen the knee away. Remember all the images that we practiced on the other side. And inhale, lower down with control so you don't lose that neutral pelvis. And exhale, push the foot in, top foot into the bottom foot, lengthen the knee away, and inhale, lower down. And exhale, rotate and lengthen, draw the abdominals towards your spine. And inhale down, expand the ribs on your inhalation, relax the neck and the jaw and the face. Exhale and rotate. And inhale, we have 2 more to go. And imagine if you are perpendicular to the wall that you'd be pushing with that top foot into the wall. And inhale. Remember, it's about that rotation of the femoral head. So imagine the ball rolling down the outside of the buttocks, lengthening your knee away. And lower down. Extend out that top leg, make it long. Flex the foot, so we're working in dorsiflexion. And inhale, prepare. Exhale, raise the leg a little higher. Reach through the heel and the whole sole of your foot. Plantar flex and lower down on the inhale. Exhale and reach. Inhale and lower. Exhale and reach. Inhale and lower. Exhale, reach. Take the leg behind you a little bit, turn it in for a bit more intensity. And inhale and lower. Exhale, reach, take it behind you. Inhale and lower. Exhale and reach. Hold it there for 2 breath cycles. Take it back. Breathing it in and out. Take it back further. Plantar flex. Hold it. Reach it further, further, further. Draw the abdominals to your spine, thinking of the green pea up the straw. And bend the leg and lower it back down and keep it coming forward to have a little bit more of a stretch. And you're going to put that top foot on the knee of the other leg, roll onto your back, into external rotation for another little glute stretch. Lift the leg up for more intensity. And swap. Bring your legs back to tabletop. And we're going to use toe taps as our transition to the next exercise. Inhale, exhale, tap your right toe to the floor. Do not move out of neutral. Inhale, take the leg up. Exhale, lower the leg down. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, tap the leg down. Inhale, up. Exhale, tap the leg down. Inhale, up. Exhale, tap. Inhale, down. Up. Exhale, tap down. Draw those abdominals in. Even though we're not lifting up our head, you should be working your abdominals quite strongly to stop you from moving out of a neutral position. One more each side. Tap it down. And up. Exhale, down. And up. And let's float both legs back down to the floor. And what would a pre-Pilates class be without a little bit of intense full body work? We're going to do an extended curl-up. Now, there'll be another time where I'll break down curl-ups in more detail, but this is just to show you how you can work your whole body after you've done all the fundamentals that we've just done. So what we do in a curl-up here is have our hands interlaced behind our head, and our elbows are in our peripheral vision. You breathe in and you exhale, lift your head up just about the width of a piece of paper. Then you glide your head over your cervical vertebra of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Soften through the sternum and lift your shoulders and shoulder blades off the floor. And then you inhale and go back down. Sequentially, one vertebra at a time. And your pelvis does not move out of neutral. So, and that's one thing I want to make sure everyone can see is you're not moving your pelvis. You don't tuck it, because then you would be just over-recruiting your rectus and not allowing your transversus abdominis to do the strength work. So let's do 2 more of those. Breathe in. Exhale, head lifts. Spin the skull. Bring the cervical spine up. Then your shoulders, shoulder blades. Sink those abdominals. You want to get just the base of your scapula off the floor. And then inhale, going down. Exhale, coming up. And you're going to stay there. Inhale, reach your arms down by your sides. Exhale, curl up a little higher. Inhale, reach your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, place your hands behind your head. And inhale, lower. Exhale, lift and curl up. Inhale, reach your arms down by your sides. Exhale, curl up higher. Don't move yourself out of neutral pelvis. Inhale, reach your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, place your hands behind your head. And inhale, lower. Exhale, curl up, lift head, rotate over cervical spine, soften in the sternum. Reach your arms by your sides. Exhale, curl higher. Inhale, reach the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, place your hands behind your head, keep the height. And inhale, lower. Reach your arms down by your sides. Walk your feet quite close to your buttock. We're going to do a cool down by stretching out and articulating all of the vertebrae in our spine with a pelvic curl to bridge. Breathe in. As you exhale and engage your pelvic floor, draw your 2 sits bones towards each other. Posteriorly tilt your pelvis so your sacrum is connected to the mat, your waistline And you're peeling off each vertebra one at a time. So you're at your lower ribs, mid ribs, upper ribs, until you're all the way up onto your shoulder, pressing the backs of your arms into the mat, and thinking of your sits bones reaching towards the back of your knees, and the front of your knees reaching towards your feet. Inhale and exhale, roll down. Sternum, upper ribs, mid ribs, lower ribs, waistline, sacrum, touch down to neutral. Breathe in. Exhale, sits bones towards each other, pelvic floor is active. Posteriorly tilt, waistline to the mat, lifting up all your lumbar vertebra, your thoracic vertebra, and all the way up onto your shoulders, like you're in a long line bridge. And then inhale up there, and exhale coming down from your sternum, your upper ribs, mid ribs, lower ribs, waistline, sacrum, all the way down. It's quite a long way down if you do it like that. Now let's stretch out the right side of our body, lengthen the right arm and leg away from center. Stretch out the left side, left arm and leg away from center. Reach the right side a bit more, like a yawn and a stretch. A yawn and a stretch to the left. So you're really opening up the left side, reaching your left leg away from your left fingers. And then stretching out the right side and stretching out the left. One more each side. Reach, reach, back to neutral. Then turn the palms of your hands down, lift your head up, and use your hands to help you sit up. Bring yourself into a cross-legged position. Put your hands in front of your knees. Take a deep breath in